Hey guys, Aphobia again, and today I am bringing you guys a Shadow Priest Shadowlands 3v3 composition guide. This is just what I feel is going to be the best comps going into Season 1 of Shadowlands, okay? Again, I'm not the grand poobah of all Shadow Priests and compositions, but this is just what I've been seeing and what I feel are going to be our top comps to play. Obviously, as things get tuned up, over the first couple of weeks, maybe to the first month or so of Shadowlands. I'll come out with another guide coming out with what are performing the best in the latter compositions. But this again, Shadowlands is not out yet, so this is my uh, pre sight to what I feel is gonna be the best. So we're gonna go ahead and hop into this. Let me know if you guys enjoy it. Leave a like down below if you enjoy my content. Comment on it if you have any questions for me. And again, you guys can follow me at my Twitch, twitch.tv/Aphobia Gaming. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it's informational. Let me know what you guys think. See you guys in a little bit. All right, guys, here we go. So we're going to go ahead and sort these comps from what I feel like are your best compositions you could possibly play to decent comps. Now, none of these comps by any means are not viable. They're all viable in a certain way. I just feel like some are just going to be overperforming inside of Shadowlands. So we're going to go ahead and start with our first comp, which I also feel like is going to be everybody's favorite comp coming in. Very missed comp. We're going to go ahead and pull out the Shadow play. We got the Affliction Warlock. You can play with the Destro also. You got the Shadow Priest, of course, because this is a Shadow Priest guide, and the Resto Shaman. Now, this is going to be, in my opinion, one of the funnest and strongest compositions. I'm going to give you guys some reasons why each of these comps are going to perform the way they're going to perform. So, Shadow Play has the spread pressure between the Shadow Priest and the Affliction Lock. But not only that, they have that big old dispel protection now, where if you dispel that UA locks unstable afflictions, you're taking a whole bunch of damage. You're also going to get silence, and you're going to get feared. So the whole point of this comp is to spread your dots to everybody on the team, and then just pick a target and dwindle them down. If that target uses defenses, then you switch the next target until those defenses are gone, and then you go back to that target, and you're just pretty much doing that throughout the entire game until eventually the pressure is so strong the healer is forced to either just live through all the dots, or they are forced to dispel and they kill themselves, right? So both, the Shadow Priest and the Warlock keep the dots on the healer at all times, and then just spread the rest around, and it just forces so much pressure that they're just going to lose within 3 or 4 minutes, right? Like, and this comp has the potential to go into dampening with Earthen Totem. They have Spirit Link. They got the off heals from the Shadow Priest. They just so much utility to this comp. But the biggest thing is that the amount of pressure they could put out is so strong. The only downside to this is that both Shadow Priest and UA Lock are able to be shut down. So being able to just train one of them can cause some of the pressure to dwindle. But the good side to that also is you're leaving one of them free casting who could pick up the slack. So this comp is gonna be one of my favorites and one of the most powerful in my opinion. All right, we're gonna go ahead and drop off the UA lock, and the next comp we're gonna go ahead and talk about is RPS. RPS. No one is a stranger to this comp. Rogues and Shadow Priests are paired so well together, and you've probably seen people. So the move running it, Golden Guardians. Same people. Peekaboo, WizK, Absturge. You probably seen that comp run by them. But this comp was so prevalent back in the day, and it's going to make a huge return. Subtlety Rogues being so strong, Shadow Priest being so strong, and Resto Shaman is looking like that S tier healer. You pair them back together, it's a GG situation. The difference between this and S play is that you have to go on goes, right? So the rogue picks a target. He's like, this is who we're killing. Shadow Priest is spreading dots to everybody, and as soon as the rogue's ready to do that full setup, he can either kidney the healer, right? He can kidney the healer if he wants to, into his Shadowlands triple cheap shot combo, and then the Shadow Priest can run Mind Bomb if he wants to. He can run Last Word if he wants to, and pretty much just silence fear, silence Mind Bomb into a Hex, into a Cap Totem. There's so much you can do with this comp, and the utility and the reset potential is so big. The only downside really to this comp is that all targets are able to be kill targets, right? Rogue, you train the rogue into the ground after you Cloak of Shadows, boom, he just goes down, right? you train the Shadow Priest and don't let him get any cast off, then there goes a lot of the pressure, right? Good thing is Rogue has so much peel potential that a lot of that could be negated, right? Hey, I'm getting peeled, no problem. Kidney shot onto the off target, cheap shot onto the kill target, stun, silence, mind bomb. However you guys want to do it onto the healer, right? There's so much you could do CC wise. You could choose whatever you feel more comfortable, and that there's just so much with this comp that just goes going to go so far. Definitely gonna be one of the top performers because all three of these specs are just going through the wall right now. All right. Next comp, we're going to go ahead and drop down here. And this comp also, by the way, you can run with the Druid. You can do RPD as well, all right? You can play with other healers, but I'm giving you guys the best healers for the comps that I feel at the moment. And I'll try to throw in some other healers that will work in with this comp, okay? So we're going to go to say, drop this Rogue now. And then another huge comp that's going to be so prevalent coming into the season 1. We already know it's the S Cleave. What I ran the most last season. It is so strong with Unholy DKs getting that huge damage buff, switching their mastery over to their pets, which allows them to cleave everybody, and they got clawing shadows from range, so they have so much range utility that people can't really line of sight them anymore, can't really kite them anymore, because they could just do so much damage from range. They're pretty much a ranged melee now, and when they connect, it's over. So the whole point of this comp, you also want to run with the Shaman. You can run with the Druid as well. Even a Holy Pally, but Shaman and Druid are going to be your 2 picks here. And the point of this comp is you're just going to run a target to the ground, right? You're running a target to the ground, spreading your dots. The Unholy DK spreading his dots. The Shaman is purging, wind shearing, grounding, just causing as much disruption as that Shaman can possibly do. And you were just hitting who you can, right? You're taking a target, you're hitting down. If they use cooldowns and they run away, you switch to the next target, and that's all you're doing. And eventually, you have your goes, right? This comp relies on that go situation, though. Like, hey, this guy's at 50%. He has no wall. Healer has no trinket. Let's go. And you do your stun, silence, fear, cap totem, hex, however you guys want to do it. That's the combination. You can do a grip, right? You can have your DK grip the healer into a fear, into a silence, into a stun, into a hex, into a DR cap totem. However you guys want to do it. There's so much you could do with this comp as well. And it's inherently it's tanky, right? Wrestle Shamans are tanky. Shadow Priests are one of the more tanky casters, and they just have so much toolkit to them, right? And then the DKs are tanky, or not as tanky as they used to be, but they're still a tanky melee, right? They got the Death Strike, they got the AMS, they got the AMZ, they got the Icebound, they got the Lichborn, they got so much, right? This comp is a very tanky, and they can go into dampening and just destroy most comps when it comes into that dampening situation. One of the best comps you guys could ever play. And it's really just it's a simple gameplay, simple game style, guys. You just pick a target, spread your dots, try to get those cooldowns. If they use a cooldown, you hit the next target, go back to that target, finish them off. Super easy gameplay there. Now we're going to the next one, right? Now this one might be the strongest S tier composition. I don't know. This is just based off of what I've been seeing on beta. This composition looks to be the strongest Shadow Priest comp. Might even be the strongest Windwalker comp. We'll have to see. Again, all 3 of these S tier, they're all S tier, right? So they are all going to perform ridiculous. But this one in particular, the Windwalker, Shadow Priest, Resto Shaman, this seems to be so strong. There's so many things that go into this, right? You have the big damage from the Windwalker. You have the spread pressure from the Shadow Priest. You have the purge and disruption from the Shaman. You have so much that's here. And all 3 have so much sustainability, right? And let's say the Windwalker's a target. Windwalkers are squishier now, and they are easier to kill. But guess what? They still have their rolls. They still have their dragon serpent flying kick. They have their teleport, their transcendence. They have Ring of Peace. They have off heals. They have in cap, right? They still have so much to stay alive that they can not only keep themselves alive, they can keep their teammates alive. Melee cleave, training the Shadow Priest into the ground. Ring of Peace, right? Triple leg sweep, double leg sweep. Spread the dots around, and boom, there you go. There's that pressure. Like, there's still so much in this comp that even if you are being trained either as the Shaman, either as the Windwalker, either as a Shadow Priest, there's so much to this composition that everyone is a danger, right? Like, you see, if we don't go to Shadow Priest is gonna free cast. If we don't go to Windwalker, the Windwalker is gonna have his playground day with us. And then, of course, if you go Shaman, you're just asking for a death sentence. So this composition just ridiculous, and there's really no downside to this comp that I can think of. They have medium sustain inside of dampening, where like they're gonna be easier to kill because of the squishiness of the comp. But I don't see games going into dampening with this comp. That's why I'm saying like there's not really a downside, and you have that mortal strike that comes from the Windwalker. So this comp is just gonna be so good. If you guys can get a good Windwalker and a good Shaman, this is gonna be great for you Shadow Priest out there. This is, oh man, I'm so excited to try this comp out. All right, so that's gonna be it for the S tier. This is what I feel like is gonna be S tier, those comps, right? So now we're gonna go ahead and move down to the B tier, or the A tier, sorry. What I feel is gonna be A tier. Now, this is one of my funnest comps. I feel like that you could just do so much with, and I played a pretty decent amount of this last season. We got the Feral, boom. We got the Shadow Priest. We're gonna drag this over. And you got that Resto Shaman. Now, this comp, FPS, same kind of situation you have with the Windwalker and the Rogue, right? It's a go-based comp, right? You have go-based sustainability as well. But the only downside to this comp is its ramp up, right? Ferals have to ramp up their damage. Shadow Priests have to ramp up their damage, right? Resto Shaman has to stay at range. They have to wait till that damage is out to be aggressive. So that's the only downside to this comp, other than that Ferals can be squishier than most melee. Having to sit in the bear form, use survival instincts. They don't have a lot of outs compared to other melee. But the good thing about them is they have the mobility. They can run away. They can shift. They can sit in bear form if they have to. They can use cyclones to peel. So they still have that potential to just CC and go. But like I said, the downside is you have the Shadow Priest, you have the Feral. They're a little bit squishier. But the damage they can do is ridiculous. If you can get your damage out, spread the dots out, and then your Feral gets his ramp up going, you can just global somebody. Like, Ferals are looking so good right now with the buffs that they have received, that this is a danger comp. This is gonna be like that sleeper agent. Like, oh, this I mean, actually, I just realized I put that in S tier. My bad. Let me go ahead and drag that down. Gonna drag that down into the A tier. I apologize. I'm sure you guys are like, oh, why do you put that in S tier? I caught it. Again, this comp's gonna be fun, guys. You guys are gonna enjoy this comp. If you can find a good Feral Druid that knows how to survive, and you keep with that Resto Shaman that you may have been playing with other compositions, or maybe you just know some, it's gonna be a fun comp, guys. Just so much sustainability when it comes to your damage, right? Because he can put dots on multiple targets. You can dot at multiple targets. You have double purge on the team. You got the off heal. So this is why I put it in the A tier, just because of the fact that you have to have ramp up, right, on your goes, and it's not just immediate like some of the other comps. So this is why I have this in the A tier. Okay, the next A tier comp that I feel is gonna be really, really good if you can find the right teammates is gonna be that, or is it that Mage, Shadow Priest, Resto Druid. Now, you can play this with a Holy Pally as well. I would personally say, we're going to move this up here. I would say you should stick with the Druid just because of the synergy that they have with mages, right? It allows you and your mage to get so much damage out, because you can play a Frostfire or Arcane, whatever you guys teammates you find are. But you have that polymorph, you have that cyclone, you have your mind controls, you have your stun, you have your silence, you have your fears. You can run so many different ways to do this comp, right? And if you play with a Holy Pally, you can do your silence into a fear, or you can do silence into mind bomb, into hodge, into rep, right, with the Holy Pally. And then the mage is having a field day with pawing the off target. You guys can just triple collapse 1v3 any target you guys feel like. That's why this comp is so good. That you have so much CC on the comp that you guys just hit somebody. Now the only really downside I see to God comp is if you have to peel, the mage has to peel, he has to poly, right? Which takes off your dots, which stops some pressure. The Druid has to cyclone, which could be good, but it stops pressure because cyclone doesn't cause damage to be happening. So those are some of the downsides to this comp. That's why it's in the A tier, is because a lot of the CC in this comp removes the Shadow Priest dots, which removes pressure, and so you might not have as much of that everyone rotting factor compared to the other comps. Like, this guy's rotting, this guy's rotting, we can just hit whoever you want. This is more of a we pick a target and kill that target kind of situation. That's why I have it in the A tier, because this could hinder you in a bit, but it's still super strong. Mages are in a good spot. Rest of Drew's in a good spot. Holy Pallies did get a buff, so we'll have to see how they stand against the other healers right now. We'll have to see once the arena season starts. But that's the next A tier I have there, and that's actually the end of the A tier that I have there. To be honest, the next couple comps are iffy because of the way you have to ramp your damage up, or because there's not a lot of CC, right? So we're gonna go ahead and let me drop just all these down real quick. We're going into the B tier, right? Obviously, Shadow Priest, boom, right there. So first comp I'm putting on this is that Shadow Priest, Ellie, Resto Druid. You can also play with Holy Pally with this comp. A big thing about this comp is it has to be goes, right? You have a lot of proc damage, you have a lot of spread damage, but your main damage is going to be off that Stormkeeper goes, right? You're pretty much playing off your Ellie Shaman, and if your Ellie Shaman is getting trained to the ground and not getting that damage out, you might not be enough damage as a Shadow Priest to make this composition work to the extent of like just finishing off the target, right? And if you're being trained, the Ellie Shaman has their burst windows, they have their sustainability, but it's not enough to carry over a Shadow Priest not getting their damage out. And that's why this is in the B tier comp, guys. Not that it's not viable, not that it's not, you can't have huge success with this comp. It's just compared to the other comps, it is a setup based comp. It also is a ramp, and it based off RNG, right? It's going off RNG, and you never want to have an RNG comp because I would say never, but that's why it's not S tier, because it's not guaranteed how this is going to play out, and it's easy to line, right? You see Stormkeeper, the enemy team can line of sight 15 seconds, or they can easily pop defenses, seeing it coming, and there it is, right? But positive side, you have a decent amount of CC, right? You have the cyclones, you have the bashes, you have the hexes, you have the fears, you have the silences, you have the mind controls, you have the psychic cores, you have a lot of CC you can do in this comp. But again, it's an RNG based comp, and that's why it's placed in the B tier, guys. Next composition that I feel is gonna be in that B tier. Owl play with that Boomkin. So this is pretty much the same situation with the Ellie Shaman. They have their burst windows, but the downside compared to Ellie Shaman is Boomkin does not do a lot of damage outside of their burst, guys. They do a decent amount. They got the control, but without that big Ankarn burst window, they're kind of flat-footed. They don't really do much. And not on top of that, they can be trained and they can't do damage. They have to sit in bear form anyways. And not only that, you don't have a lot of CC in this comp. Let me go and put the Resto Shaman up there, because this could be played with the Resto Shaman or Holy Pally. So like, you have Root Beam and you have Cyclone, but Cyclone DRs with, your mind controls and your fears. Okay. So if you play with the Shaman, you bring a little bit extra CC on that end, where you can have the hexes, you can have the cap totems, you have grounding and wind shears for the disruptions. You have a little bit more control, micro CCs in between all your goes. If you bring a Holy Pally, again, you can do Hodge Rep, you can do Hodge Blinding Light, you can do whatever you want to do with that one. You want to have those kind of healers to bring the lack of actual CC into the comp to live into that next go. But this is why it's in the B tier, right? Because if you don't kill in those windows, you're going to fall behind, and then if it does come to dampening, this comp does not live very long inside dampening, guys. You do have the off heals, but again, it's dampening. You're going to fall off. They're just going to shut you guys down, and it's not going to be a fun time for you guys. So this is why it's in the B tier. Now we're going to go ahead and move into the last composition, which is not. We don't have any D tier comps, all right, guys. We don't have any D tier comps. There are other comps you guys can play, but this is the last viable comp I see, and I'm putting this in the C tier, and that's going to be Scatter Play. Let me go. Let's say I feel like it's gonna be best with a Resto Shaman, or a Resto Druid. You could use a Holy Pally if you want to, but I feel like Resto Shaman is gonna be needed for this. You want that extra ranged CC that doesn't DR, right? You want that hexes. So of course, people know with this comp, it's silence, mind bomb. You got the trap, stun, trap, silence, mind bomb. You can do a hex cap totem out of that. You got the wind shears. So your go, this comp is very go dependent, very, 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 very go dependent. The reason why this comp can fail is it's very scripted, right? They track the freezing trap. They know your go is about to happen, and they can just get ready with if you're playing against a priest. They can death the traps. They can CC you, so you can't do anything on the go, and it's just such a scripted comp. But the good thing about this comp is there is a lot of CC, which you can do a lot of damage out. The only downside is if this was I feel like this is better when survival was more prevalent, but with people going over and switching over to marksman, it's easy to line of sight, right? They see these things, these traps going off, they see the CC, they can just line of sight, and there goes the damage, and that's what you don't want, right? So I feel like this would be better with survival hunter. But with everybody moving on to marksman, this is why it's in the C tier. You're gonna be, probably forced to play with the marksman hunter, and it's gonna be a lot harder to get those kill windows. So this is why I have this in the C tier comp. Um, so we'll have to see how this plays out. One of the comps that I wanted to put into a higher tier that you probably have not noticed that I put up on here is the last thing on the list is that warrior. Warriors have a bunch of utility, a bunch of CC that they can do, a bunch of damage, but I have not seen a lot of them on the beta where they're playing with Shadow Priest. They're playing with like Affliction Locks. They're playing TSG. So I don't know exactly where this lands, right? I don't know where the Warrior Shadow Priest Shaman's gonna land. But if I had to guess, I'm gonna put Warrior Shadow Priest Shaman into the A tier. But I don't want to put this specifically somewhere in the video because first off, I haven't played with a lot of warriors, and second off, I don't have enough data on it. But this is the last one. I'm not putting in any specific category because I don't know where it's going to land. This is just more of an honorable mention comp, right? The warrior Shadow Priest Shaman is going to be more of an honorable mention comp, and we'll have to just see where that lands. But you can absolutely play with this comp. I just don't know how good it's going to be just yet. Warriors are buffed. Shadow Priests have a better utility cap after the changes, and better damage after the changes. So we'll have to see where this lands. I just don't have enough data to tell you guys, hey, this is the comp to play. So that's why you haven't seen me put on the list. But you definitely can pick it up. And that's about it, guys. That's the tier list. My personal opinion on tier list. Again, I'm not the god know-it-all Shadow Priest. I'm pretty experienced on it, but this is what I've been messing around with, what I've been looking at, and this is where I feel like these comps are gonna land until tuning happens. And as that happens, I'll put more videos. Also, I'll be streaming all throughout since start to finish Shadowlands. So you guys can come to my stream, twitch.tv/iphobia gaming. You guys can come over and check out what I'm playing with, who I'm playing with, how we're setting up goes, see the climb. So you guys can check me out on the Twitch channel. And again, if you have any questions, leave a comment down below. Reach me at the Twitch, and I'll do what I can for you. Until next time, thank you guys for stopping on by.